My mom and my dad, they're both entrepreneurs, and I really have watched them coming up, how they ran their own businesses. And so I said to my mom one day, I feel like at this point now, I really just want to get some experience under my belt. I don't want to sit here in school, so I would like to start business. She said, okay. She said the best way to learn is to do. So she decided to help me. She wanted to help me get experience, so we started a little project and we started brainstorming and coming up with ideas, and she had this idea to use her own beer bread recipes. I thought it was a wonderful idea, the way beer was coming up at the time.
The baking was a hobby of ours, and my mother taught me how to bake. I used to do it a lot for the family. And then when I married my husband, he's actually from the Midwest, and out in the Midwest, they know beer bread. And so I was so intrigued by this simplicity of making homemade bread without having to have serious baking skills and time that wasn't a priority for most people. So I thought, this is really cool. This is a great idea. If people could bake homemade bread, why wouldn't they? If they could do it in a very simple way, very easy, and just add one ingredient, I said, I think this would really be a great product to bring to the market. And so based off of my baking skills from my hobby, and then my creative abilities from my career, that was how we kind of created SoberDough.
It is not just one task. You wear many hats. A large corporation, you'll have a director of marketing, you'll have sales, you have operations, you'll have a shipping department. In a small business, you handle all of those things. The very fortunate about us is, as a family, we have divided up the different tasks with different people. So it's not just one person. Most of the time, someone starts a business and they're the only ones that do everything.
My duties go from everything from sales calls to production, do a little bit of everything, do the operations, do the marketing. We get to work on, how we're gonna get our name out there. Right now, I'm mainly in a role where I'm usually counting inventory, or I'm helping with shipping, helping with production.
They are sourced from all over the country, and then sometimes the world, depending on the ingredients. And we don't go to big box, which is like a Sam's Club or Costco. We don't go and get ingredients as far as our spices at big box, because those have been sitting around for probably much a year before we even get them. So the weakness is there, and they've been decreasing their potency. So I go looking for the actual suppliers who are getting them from the processing plants and from the fields. And so I source them, and where they come from, they can be everywhere from California. Our sun-dried tomatoes are actually grown and sun-dried in California before they come to us. And then our green chilies, they come from Hatch, New Mexico, which is the capital of Hatch green chilies. That's important to have a real Hatch green chili. So we get them from the Hatch, New Mexico fields, and then they're processed, and then we get them here. So it can vary according to what the ingredient is. Our flour is actually based here in Tennessee. It is a southern flour. That is what I consider to be the base, the foundation of our bread. And so we will source whatever we can here locally, and then when we have to go into the spices that aren't grown here, that's where we have to go outside the city, the state, and go into other states and sometimes countries to get the right spices.
Without doing any marketing, without doing any selling, and it just kept growing. We kept getting stores calling us to put the product on the shelves, the SoberDough product, and we were renting a kitchen at the time. So last year I ended up having to help through the Christmas season because they were so busy. So then in January we decided to build out our own facility, and that's what we have right here to handle the shipping, the production, the distribution. Come this spring, it just started growing more that we said, well, let's try and see if it can grow nationwide. And we went and showed it at the Fancy Food Show. We showed the product in Atlanta, we showed it in Texas, and it has skyrocketed.
Every day it's a little bit different, and it's really exciting when we see new orders coming in and different stores, and we get to, like, there's the map over there where we get to see all the different parts of America that we're in. And it's really, sometimes, you gotta sit back, and I think we were just having a moment the other day where we sat there and we're like, can you believe where we were this time last year or this time 2 years ago? We just had done this. So In a really interesting way, it's just overwhelming in a sense sometimes to see where we've come and see the growth of it. So it's very fun seeing that. It's very fun knowing what position I'm in at 25 now.
We tell people it runs the gamut. This is really funny for me to say because I'm making beer bread, but I'm not a beer drinker because I've never acquired the taste for hops. My palate's more fruit, wine. So I don't drink beer, and I prefer to use a grocery store style beer because to me it blends into the bread and you don't have the heavy beer taste. Now we have customers who are craft beer enthusiasts, and that's where they get really creative because you change up the beer and it's a subtle change in the bread. So people can add their own little flair, their own little touch of what they like to drink. And then you have people who don't want beer at all and they use a carbonated water. So it really depends on the person and what they want their bread to taste like. If you don't want it to taste like beer, use a Budweiser, a grocery store style beer, or carbonated water. If you want more of a beer taste, then go for your darker beers, your craft beers, and then you get more of a beer taste.
People can really add to the bread. So if you get a certain flavor, you can try different beers with it and it'll give it a different taste. You can use your favorite stout or your favorite IPA and you'll taste that signature flavor in the bread. You can add little ingredients of your own to it. It really gives people, as creative as we can be here with this business, and it allows people to be creative with their own bread and put their own little unique flair on it, which is always nice to see.